Hey friends, today we're going to explore why reblooming azaleas would be a great addition to your southern garden. Stay tuned. When we say southern gardens, there are a few plants that come to the top of our mind, and azaleas are definitely one of those plants. We are fortunate here in the South to have gorgeous azaleas in the springtime. They provide us massive color, and everybody loves to have those family pictures made in front of their azaleas right around Easter time. But there is a problem with these old-timey azaleas. Hence why we're going to talk about reblooming azaleas today. These are not your grandmama's azaleas. These things are fantastic. One of probably the most iconic, the gold standard in reblooming azaleas is the Encore azalea. Encore azaleas have actually 31 varieties. They come in all shapes, sizes. You get some big ones, you get some smaller ones. They come in a great variety of colors, from the whites to the pinks to the bicolors to this double bloom. This is carnation and it is a double bloom. It is fantastic. So there's a lot of variety within the Encore line. Also, they are hardy from zones 6 to 10. We in North Carolina are a zone 7B, so we fit in perfectly in that zone period. So they can take the cold temperatures and they can take that heat. When you're planting and you're picking out your Encores, you want to think about where you're going to put it. They need to have at least 4 to 6 hours of direct sunlight. If they have less than that, then you're not going to get your blooms. They do really well with morning sun and a little bit of protection from that afternoon sun, especially if you are in those warmer zones. They are tough and adaptable though. So, of course, when you first plant them, you want to water them well, get them well established, especially in that first year to get those roots really established in the ground. But once they are established, they are hardy, they are drought tolerant, and very tough and adaptable. So if you do get a lot of afternoon sun, you probably just might need to give it a little bit more water. Another thing as far as maintenance goes on Encore azaleas is they do bloom 2 times a year. So they're going to get those beautiful spring blooms, and then this time of year, September into October, you're going to get a whole new flush of blooms. This is really interesting. Did not know this, Encore azaleas, they all have their first name is autumn. So like this is autumn carnation, then there's autumn royalty on the end. So that is very unique to the Encore azaleas, is all of their first names are autumn. So you automatically think, hey, this blooms again in the autumn. So that's a really neat little feature about it. When you are maintaining your azaleas on your Encores, you need to, you can fertilize them after their spring blooms. And if you need to trim it, you want to do that immediately after the spring blooms. So like on this guy, you see that there's a couple of stems that are kind of a little bit taller than others. This is the fall, we're in September, the end of September. I do not want to trim this now, because if I were to trim and kind of shape it up and make it look pretty, I'm cutting off next spring's blooms. So do not trim them until they've had that spring flush of blooms. Immediately after they have had their spring blooms, then you can trim them back. They'll have time to grow, bloom on that new growth in the fall. So Encore azaleas, got to love them. Another great reblooming azalea that we really like is Proven Winners Bloom-A-Thon series. The Bloom-A-Thon series, there are 5 different varieties. They are, depending on the variety, about hardy in zones 7 to 9. They have, like I said, 5 different colors. They are different mature heights on them. So this is the Bloom-A-Thon double pink. So it is a double bloom with the pink, and then on the end we have the red. So lots of really pretty colors, and they are really interesting because these guys are considered a semi-evergreen. So right now you can see they have gorgeous leaf color. Then in the wintertime, they will keep all of their outer leaves and they will lose their interior leaves for the winter. So that's why they're called a semi-evergreen. So they're not going to go completely naked, but they will thin out a little bit. Another great thing that I have to say that Proven Winners has an advantage over the Encores is that these guys actually bloom 3 times during the year. So they, again, those spring blooms, they're both spring bloomers. You're going to get somewhere between 6 to 8 weeks of blooms in the spring with your Bloom-A-Thons. Then about mid-July, they're going to bloom again. So that's the second bloom. And then your fall bloom. So it starts late summer through fall into a first hard frost. So in that time period, you can have blooms on these guys from 12 to 16 weeks. I mean, that is amazing. So when your garden is starting to look sad and kind of tired, both of these reblooming azaleas are going to bring some pops of color and brightness to your garden. So that is one reason that we absolutely love these reblooming azaleas. We'll say also with the maintenance on the Bloom-A-Thons is very similar to the Encores. You only want to fertilize in the spring, never past mid-July, and you're going to want to trim them after their spring blooms. Again, if you wanted to shape it up a little bit, I would not do this now because I'm going to cut off next year's blooms. So, if you have not considered adding some reblooming azaleas to your garden, you might want to rethink this because these are not your grandmama's azaleas. They are gorgeous, they are hardy, and we love them. Hope you've enjoyed this video with these little hints and tips about reblooming azaleas. Be sure to like the video, subscribe, and to share with your friends. Thanks, guys. We will see you next time. Bye.